Jaren, I don't know what's worse. Me having worked a full day, a full 12 hours, and then trying to record this episode, or you having to get up before you go to work and record this episode. It's like we can only record in single digit numbers. 1 a.m. to 9 a.m. is our only allotted time for recording.
Yeah, I think it's just perfect. We'll get both ends of the spectrum. We'll compare notes when I get done with my shift and see where we land at.
I'm just saying, on my end of things, this is going to be a slippy one. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Anything Joe's, a collaborative journey through the world of G.I. Joe. My name is Greg Engel.
And I'm Jaren Decker.
And we'll be your host today. Today on Anything Joe's, we are looking at G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, number 7, the Marvel run. The exciting conclusion to the two-parter that we were looking at just a few weeks ago.
It's felt like an eternity. I've been dying to know, because I'm trying not to read it like immediately, because I want to have some suspense. But man, it felt like forever between reading the last one and this one, and I'm glad that we finally get to talk about it.
There's some great stuff in this issue, and some interesting conversations to be had. But before we get started with that, we do have to do some housekeeping based on that last episode. So the big question, the question that we really spent too much time talking about, is Georgian yogurt suckers. So in issue 6, there's a panel where Stalker takes a swing at Colonel Breckoff and says, "Nice try, Colonel, but that trick's older than your Georgian yogurt suckers." And to the best of our ability, we couldn't figure out what that meant. We have something that can shed some light on that. And I want to make sure I credit the right people. Rick Fountain wrote and said, "It's Armenian or Georgian. It's Matzoon, dried fermented milk that old people used to eat in sucker form." So dried, like those gross sour suckers you can get, like the dusty ones, but not as good. And we also, K. Otto Phillips responded and said, "People from Georgia, parentheses Russia, tend to have long lifespans, living well into their 100s, although over the past few years that age has been slowly going down. It's believed that one of the reasons for their longevity is their diet, including yogurt." So there you go. Matzoon. Matzoon I'm familiar with, not intimately, but I am familiar, I'm aware of it, of its existence. I've never tried it, but I get it now. So I understand what that means. And I feel greatly relieved at that knowledge. Something that after all these years, something I had never thought to question. Now I finally understand it.
I can finally sleep at night again. Like, I
know,
can
right?
finally rest.
Look for our soon-to-be released video on YouTube where we try Matzoon live and see if we can stomach it.
Hey, I'm there. I'm in for it. I like yogurt too. Do they make Matzoon in the little packages like Go-Gurt?
God, I hope not. Two other things about that episode that we missed, and I apologize because I don't have the name of the people that wrote in. But these were both in our emails. The first thing is somebody pointed out that on the roster that Hawk pulls up for the people that are going on the mission, Grand Slam's name is on the roster, but on the actual mission, it's Flash. And I went back and double checked it, and he's 100% correct. Grand Slam is listed on the roster as somebody that's going, but Flash is actually the person that goes on the mission. So that's a good catch. I had never noticed that after all this time. And the last thing is, I feel so dumb that I have to bring this up. Somebody wrote in and said, "Greg, you were questioning who didn't volunteer for the mission, that there were only 12 hands in the air, and you wondered who the 13th person was that wasn't volunteering. Well, perhaps you've miscounted, because Hawk is the person giving the people the mission. He is, of course, the 13th member. He wasn't volunteering because he's the guy that was giving the orders. So you're right. That's on me. Good catch. I feel like a real scrub for not letting that dawn on me. So thank you to everyone who wrote in and kindly pointed out the errors that we made or helped us resolve some of the questions that we had. We appreciate it. We also got a great response to bringing in the voice actors for the Oktober Guard, which I thought was a really fun, interesting thing to do that I'd never seen done before. All right, so with all that in our rearview mirror, let's move forward and let's open up the cover to G.I. Joe number 7. Now, I alluded to this the last time we talked about it, but this is this is one of the most iconic covers from the entire 155 issue run, in my opinion. It has been mimicked by other comics. It is a standout. It really is probably, I'm going to say top 10 covers from the entire run, maybe even higher than that for some people. And it's not hard to see why. It's awesome. You've got Stalker on one side, Colonel Breckoff on the other, back to back, guns firing, Cobra troopers aplenty piling over the mountainside. They're firing their guns in the air, shell casings everywhere, but just a vibrant red background with action lines and explosions in the back. The caption says, "A moment ago they were enemies. Now they fight together against the greatest evil in the world." This is a great cover. And is probably, it is my favorite cover so far. I like this better than the first issue cover, which I think has some weird issues where everybody's firing in weird directions. Although, I do love the first issue. I love all of the first year covers. I think are all pretty good, but this is truly a standout. Maybe number 3 with the giant robot, I think was very appealing to me, especially as a young child. But everything about this cover is right. It's got action. It pulls you in immediately. It's just great. It's like two men against the fate of Cobra. What do you think about it?
This is probably one of the coolest issues, covers of any comic I've seen. It uses the colors well, which everyone knows there's the study on the red and yellow and how that attracts the eye and all that fun stuff. But just the way that they have it pose, the way that they have the Cobra troopers or infantry or whoever that is, they've got those guys kind of in the background a little bit, but you can see them and it looks like they're kind of coming towards them. It's a really cool cover. You've got your American guy on one side using his trusty M16. You've got your Russian guy or your Georgian guy with his peach suckers, and he's using his AK-47. And it's kind of like that duality. And I think we had touched on it last time. From their point of view, they are the G.I. Joe of their country. They're doing what they believe is best and serving their country. So it's just really cool.
Yeah, and I think this kind of is a great follow-up to the cover of issue 6. Issue 6 has got Cobra Commander's mask. It's got Joe's on one side, Oktober Guard on the other side. And so it's alluding to the fact that these two guys would have to team up, even though that's not something that you would know right away from reading the individual issues. So this is the natural progression of that, where you see them kind of on two different sides of the coin, and then here you see that they've been forced to unite, which is very exciting. So with that in mind, let's get on into the thick of it. Issue number 7, Walls of Death.
Man, they really smack you in the face with that.
Yeah, they do. Script by Larry Hama, plot and pencils by Herb Trimpe. In the mountains of Afghanistan, the G.I. Joe team have fought their Russian counterparts, the Oktober Guard, to a standstill, only to be overwhelmed by Cobra Commander and a small army of Cobra Commandos. That's a cute name for them. The prize, the remnants of a top-secret Soviet aircraft that had crashed in the Hindu Kush foothills. Cobra Commander faces the Oktober Guard and the Joes, both all lined up as prisoners. The solution was simple. I set you against one another and plucked the prize from under your collective noses. I knew you were too evenly matched for either side to score an easy victory. You see, I've studied your dossiers quite thoroughly. So you see, my dear worthy opponents, I was confronted with a dilemma. I wanted the aircraft to further the aims of Cobra, but how was I to extract it from hostile territory while harried by the two best combat teams in the world? This, again, is another follow-up to something that we mentioned at the end of the last issue, where Cobra Commander is kind of a badass. He's got an awesome-looking gun here. We're just kind of seeing him from behind, but he's got a mega weapon. And then there are dudes lined up all over the RTV in the background. Now, admittedly, on close inspection, none of those guys look like Cobra guys. They all kind of look like Joes. I'm not sure if that's a penciling error, but it is a fact that they do not look like Cobras at all. Maybe the Cobras took over the RTV, And they were like, hey, there's a storage closet here. Oh, they have a bunch of spare G.I. Joe uniforms. Let's throw them on. And I always wanted to know what it was like to be a real American hero.
I think you've cracked the code.
All right, give me that no prize, baby. So Cobra Commander is lining up everybody, and he's kind of giving you a roll call, just in case you missed the last issue. The infamous Oktober Guard, Stormovic, Shag, Horror Show, Dana, and Colonel Brekov. The insufferable G.I. Joe team, Stalker, Scarlet, Steeler, Flash, Clutch, and Breaker. Breaker popping his bubblegum. We love you too, Cobra Commander. Shall we liquidate these insolent dogs now, Cobra Commander? Our primary objective is the safe transport of the aircraft to our stronghold. These two specialists shall remain behind to tie up the loose ends. They have both the skill and imagination to prolong the amusement. When the fun is over, you will replace their weapons in a convincing manner and follow us in their vehicle as a rear guard. Everyone else, mount up. We depart for the stronghold. So Cobra Commander leaves in the RTV, which has the Russian vehicle thingy, the anti-gravity Russian thing with it. They did leave the Vamp behind, and they've left these two specific Cobra guys behind. Interestingly enough, these two Cobra guys have names that we're very familiar with. The first one turns to him and says, shall we get started, Rattler? Not yet, Copperhead. I want to watch them sweat for a little while. Now, this is probably not worth deviating into with great detail, but obviously we know that the Rattler would become the Cobra, air superiority, and Copperhead is the name of the guy that pilots drives the... I always get that confused. When you're on it, you pilot a boat, you drive a boat.
Yeah, I think it's driving. I think it's drive a boat. Or you could just say he's the captain.
Captain Copperhead, sir. Copperhead's the name of the driver for the Swamp Moccasin, which is like a little Cobra boat that came out after this. Both of these things were I guess they're both very common snake names, so it's no surprise that they would reuse them. But in this particular instance, it's two random guys that just happen to share code names that would become very relevant in the G.I. Joe universe later on. Clutch and Breaker are side by side in the lineup as Breaker is once again chewing some bubblegum. Breaker, old buddy, now we got him just where we want him. You're nuts, Clutch. We're looking down the barrel at 6 feet of prime Arlington real estate, and suddenly the back cannon on the Vamp starts to swivel over. The hand is quicker than the eye. I see it, but I don't believe it. The Vamp turret has moved and has lined up the two Cobra troopers in its aim. Have you seen them sweat enough yet? No, but I suppose it's asking too much to expect them to grovel. Let's get on with it. But let us not be hasty. I suggest we start with the kneecaps and work upwards. You're cutting it a little close, Clutch. Oh, Breaker, you're such a spoil sport. Suddenly the Vamp fires out. Just guns them both down right there.
It's brutal, but man, it's the best. Seeing the Vamp in action is the best moment.
Give me 5 on that, Clutch. Like the man said, excellent. Not that I want to sound dumb or anything, but how the heck did you do that? Easy, I had my arms crossed, right? Well, I had this hand tucked inside my shirt, making like Space Invaders with this gun mount remote control unit. Didn't you guys ever wonder how I fired those things without ever touching them? So here's a new special cool feature about the Vamp that we didn't know about, is that it can be controlled remotely, and Clutch just happens to have the remote.
I'm surprised we didn't get that in toy form. I mean, it would have been small, but it would have been cool.
I'm guessing that the Vamp came out and then they wrote this in as a story plot device. So, although technically
a Vamp Ex Machina,
any small square would probably work for this remote. Looking at it up close here, Clutch wasn't the only one who had something up his sleeve. When the Oktober Guard jumped us back at the ravine, I planted a locator transmitter in the RTV. Signals coming in loud and clear. We can track it from here to Georgia if need be.
Нет, Georgia is Soviet territory.
That ain't the Georgia that's on his mind, sweetie.
Quite right. But the Georgia on my mind is back in the USSR. So much for levity. I believe we have some unfinished business to attend to.
So the Oktober Guard is armed back up, and they are facing off against the Joe team again. Lighten up and chill out. Let's not be getting our tails in an uproar here. I mean, the man done took his ball and went home. The game is over, dig?
Please to be translating. I not understanding this.
I am having affinity for this particular dialect horror show. He is saying that since Cobra has possession of classified aircraft rightfully belonging to peace-loving peoples of Soviet Union, it is not senseless for us to continue our conflict. In fact, to do so would only further the aims of Cobra. Is that not so, Stalker?
You're catching my drift, Colonel Brekov. You familiar with a quote about strange bedfellows? Let's not get cute, Stalker. We've got orders. If we lose the cargo, we're supposed to break radio silence, contact talk, and get ourselves lifted out. I'm back in Scarlet. This is a no-win situation. I say let's throw in our losing hand and quit the game before we go bust. This ain't no democracy. I'm in charge here, and I'm exercising my prerogative to make a field command decision to examine the options. Let's say we do pack up and go home. What's to keep these jokers from following Cobra and taking a crack at the jackpot? Besides, what am I going to say to Hawk? Gee, we almost had it back safe, but Cobra came along and took it away. No way.
I will be frank with you. The penalty we face for failure is unimaginable. We have no choice but to follow Cobra. Alone, our chances of success are negligible. But if we were to combine our forces...
Then what? Even if we get the stupid plane back, we're back to square one. We're going to have to duke it out with these bozos anyway you cut it.
Unfortunately, that is inarguable. Once the aircraft is secured, we must do our duty as soldiers to take possession for ourselves and Mother Russia.
We can't do any less ourselves, but let's cross that bridge when we come to it, and hopefully we won't have to burn it behind us. You're all nuts. You can't trust these lousy Reds. Nah, don't pay attention to Miss Scarlet here. She's just a tad high-strung. The vamp is ready to roll, and we can give you fellas a hand with changing the tire on your Kremlin kitty cart. You can give them a hand. I don't wallow with pigs.
Товарищ, friends, for the time being.
You're on, buddy, until we get the plane. Then this treaty goes out the window. Hours later. That locator beeper I planted in the RTV is coming in strong. Looks like Cobra's making a beeline for the Iranian border. I've got news for you, Breaker. We crossed the border into Iran 10 minutes ago. Yeah, then I guess those dots on the horizon ain't a bunch of Afghani tribesmen out for an afternoon stroll, huh? That's an Iranian border patrol. Slow down, Clutch. They've been watching our dust for miles. Nothing left to do now but try to brazen it out. So all the Joes are loaded up on the Vamp. Actually kind of fit in there pretty well, considering that I've tried to get 6 figures on a Vamp many times, and it's pretty unfeasible. The Oktober Guard has got their little cart that flipped in the last one, and they are also loaded up into that. They also fit very well into their vehicle. There's a little, not a license plate, the very front of the Vamp has got like a GIJ2 on it. There's no relevance to that other than I just think it's interesting. So this Iranian border patrol is approaching them, and there's a whole bunch of them. And we're looking at the back view of the Vamp as the Joes are kind of steadying their aim and getting ready to see how they can get out of it. That's rich. What are you going to do? Promise to give the Shah back? How about asking for room and board at the embassy? How about climbing up and picking out your targets? Man, this is too hairy for words. I hope those Ruskies back there don't decide to pull the double whammy on us. They were beside us a minute ago. How did they get behind us? Border Patrol opens up fire into Joe's return. Yeah, I'm hit. That's no reason to stop shooting. Who the heck fired the first shot? Who cares about the first shot? It's who fires the last shot that counts. Suddenly, the Oktober Guard 6-wheel vehicle barrels over a mountainside, and they have got the flank on the Iranian Border Patrol.
Keep going, Amerikanskis! The Oktober Guard will mop up this rebel!
Well, so much for Iranian-American relations. Another example of American imperialist aggression. Nighttime has fallen, and the Joes are on a small cliff overlooking a gigantic, square structure. That's it. The Cobra stronghold. The beeper's going crazy, so the plane must be inside.
Da, comrades, it's formidable looking, no?
Let's take a closer look inside through the old image intensifier. Start at low magnification and zoom in slowly.
The walls are looking very solid. But there must be an entrance. Some weak point, da?
I don't see anything but solid wall. Zoom in a little closer. Still just a bunch of walls. Smooth, solid, unbroken walls. I think we got a problem. Clutch, help me strap on the jump jet. That's the Jet Unit Mobile Propulsion. That's a stretch, but okay. I'm going upstairs for a closer look. So, this is the first time we've seen the jump pack, right? No, we saw it in the very first issue. That's right. I don't know why Stalker always gets it. I guess that's his specialty. Even in the pinup in #1, he's wearing it when he's flying over top of those planes. He didn't come with it. I guess it's just supposed to be like one of his primary military specialties.
Didn't the modern figure come with it, though?
The jetpack has come with a lot of people over the years. Well, it gets, in more recent years, it seems to be assigned to Duke a lot because Duke wears a jetpack in the G.I. Joe animated movie opening. And there's a Silver Pads Grand Slam that came with like a whole launch pad. Like he actually did come with it. But I don't know, maybe Larry was just like, I like Stalker and I want him to have the jetpack exclusively. So Stalker straps on the jetpack and whooshes off into the air inside the Cobra stronghold. This is a night for celebration, my brothers of the Hooded Serpent. Also a cool terminology for Cobra. They're getting real classy with the names. Not only have we defeated both the G.I. Joe team and the Oktober Guard, but we now have within our grasp the very seed of world conquest. The technological secrets we shall extract from the Russian aircraft will enable us to spread our coils to every corner of the earth. For truly, the power that controls gravity can control... Cobra's commander's interrupted by an officer. Cobra Commander, our sensors detect an intruder in our airspace. Cobra Commander is holding a globe that has a snake wrapped around it. And it's obviously a very real snake, which is quite the flair for the dramatic.
It's also a very big snake. That thing is huge.
Quickly, give me a readout on the monitor. On the monitor, you could see Stalker flying over top, scoping out their headquarters. No, it can't be them. And they observe us from the plateau. Dolts, idiots, morons. Those two fools have let them escape. Why did I just leave only two people behind? Don't think about it too hard. No matter, they are in a hostile country with no support. They must attempt to penetrate our defenses by stealth. We will permit them to enter our stronghold, keep them under close observation, and crush them at our leisure. All units report to battle stations. I think we've probably mentioned this before, but it is not a coincidence, obviously, that the Cobra salute is very Nazi-esque. Like it's just that arm straight out.
They just raised it a little bit higher to make it just a little bit different.
Yeah, they're like, well, they do have a trademark on the Nazi salute, so we don't want to get sued by the Nazis. Back at the plateau, spot any openings on the roof, Stalker? Negative. Just a maze-like concentric pattern that looks like this. Might be an alarm system. We'll put one of your men with the device on the roof, with two from our team. They at least 2 4-man teams to attack 2 opposite walls, split their defenses. That's a lot of math.
We must cover our escape route. I suggest we leave one man outside at each penetration point for resource and cover.
Solid idea. Steeler and Breaker will take the roof with Shrag. The remaining Oktober Guards will take the south wall, and the Joes will go in from the north. Let's move out. Inside the stronghold, Cobra has parked the RTV inside, conveniently. Our sensors show 2 assault teams at the north and south walls. Seal the blast doors to the inner sanctum and activate automatic intruder neutralization units. Cut to the north wall. Here's the drill. Steeler and Breaker are going up top with the jump jet. Scarlet, Flash, and I are going in through the wall. Clutch stays outside to monitor the radio and lay down fire suppression for a getaway. Hey, Scarlet, if you want to touch up your eyeshadow, I'll let you use my rearview mirror. What for, Exhaust Breath? There's nobody out here worth impressing. At the south wall, Shrag climbs to the roof. Stormovic stays outside. The rest inside with me. There's that rookie Shrag, Breaker. Figure we can trust him? Sure, Steeler, about as much as he can trust us. There's no seam in this wall, fellas. It's as if they built a giant jello mold and poured it full of steel-reinforced concrete. Stand back. I'm going to take a crack at it with the laser rifle, full power. Hold it. A door's opening. You're not thinking of walking through that, are you, Stalker? It's got to be a trap. So what? They'd know we were here as soon as you cut loose with the laser. Can't argue with that. You know, there's something real familiar about this pattern on the roof. I just can't place it.
Да, it is resembling, what you call it, hot dish? Нет, hot plate.
Cut to Cobra Commander, who has whipped off his mask and put on his battle faceplate. Now you know it's business time in Cobra HQ. Burn the ones on the roof. The electrical field is activated, Cobra Commander. It is time to shed the ceremonial cowl and don my battle helmet. Nothing like a good outfit change to really get the juices flowing. They turn the electrical field on the roof, and all the guys that are on the roof get zapped. Clutch on the ground floor can see the sparks coming off of the electrical field. Breaker, this is Clutch. What's going on up there? Hey, Breaker. Stalker, this is Clutch. Something's funny happened up top. I've lost radio contact with Breaker. Poor boy sounds nervous. Ask him if he needs somebody to hold his hand. Just stay where you are, Clutch. Breaker can take care of himself. I'm sitting tight. Tell Scarlet she should have powdered her nose in my mirror while she... Clutch, do you read me? Clutch. No answer. We're on our own now. In the inner sanctum, the team on the roof is unconscious. Send a squad up to collect them and step up termination procedures for the intruder teams. Stalker's team is quietly whispering. You hear those electrical relays clicking? Dive! Scarlet Stalker hit the ground just as a series of electrical, I guess, lasers? Yeah, those are lasers. Shoot across. It even, snags Stalker's beret. Such a close call. Oh, he mentions it. Snagged my beret. Just got it nicely broken in, too. Stalker, you get us out of this one, I'll buy you a dozen new ones. You're on, Flash. Let's try this passage over here. Uh-oh, looks like we picked a dead end. That's the good news. The bad news is under my foot. Is it a mine? Worse, it's a trip release. The whole wall falls forward, breaks apart. They narrowly avoid it. Listen, hear that sound? Echoes from the falling block, reverberating through the passages? No, it's water. They're flooding the tunnel behind us. Cobra bases are wild.
Yeah.
It's like a Home Alone movie in every Cobra base. They have so much crazy stuff, just ready to roll.
I feel like Indiana Jones would fit in really well with this mission.
I mean,
I could
absolutely.
see him going through here.
It's such a fantastical setup that they have going on.
I love
it. Water comes rushing in behind them. They use the rubble from the fallen wall to climb up them, and then they use those rocks as a dam to buy some time to find an upgrade in the tunnel. Don't look now, Stalker. I think the dam just burst. The water comes flooding in, and they start to get swept away. Try to find a handhold on the walls. No dice. They're smoother than a spit-shine boot. Scarlet says, I got a trick or two up my sleeve. Better pull it fast, Scarlet. We're headed for the drainage pit. I'm wedging a throwing star into this crack, like a mountain climber is pitting, and hoping my crossbow is strong enough to hold the three of us. Good enough, Scarlet. The water's going down already. Whew, that was close. This pit goes straight down and then some. What now? Turn back? That's what they're expecting us to do. Our only advantage is in doing the unexpected. Back to the inner sanctum. Both the American and Russian teams are still intact. Shall we activate Operation Doppelganger? It wouldn't hurt to be prepared. Stalker's team continues their journey. I hear a hissing sound, Stalker. Could it be gas? That's too pedestrian for Cobra's taste. But this looks like a bit they caught from Steven Spielberg. There's a direct Indiana Jones reference for you.
There we go.
Stay back. A king cobra can spit venom a good 10 feet. So the snake, I guess the same snake we saw around the globe, also works security on the side. Oh, there's a bunch of them.
Why did it have to be snakes?
Why did it have to be snakes? I'll handle this one. I've got the protective gear. It's all yours, Flash. Anyone for a roast cobra? I said it for. Well done. And Flash just starts zapping them snakes. All clear, let's go. Disgusting. Hold it, I'm beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel. But I don't like what else I see down there. Cobra infantry at the other end opens fire as they narrowly duck into a small hallway in between them and the entrance. Looks like they don't like you either, Stalker. I'm seriously offended. They don't want us to join their party? But I'm such a nice guy. I'll let them have their present anyway. Stalker chucks her grenade in the hallway. And a very nice badoom, our favorite sound effect. A rolled steel blast door. Must be something pretty important behind this sucker, eh? Laser time? Nah, I've been getting tired of carrying around this rucksack full of C4 plastic explosives. Better get yourselves behind that bin in the tunnel. This is gonna be loud. So they blast this blast door. And as they cross the other side, let's roll in, and Colonel Breckhoff? The Oktober Guard sits in front of the RTV. They're already there.
I'm believing there is a saying in your country, better late than never. I'm afraid that does not apply in this case. Your weapons, please. We captured a Cobra prisoner and persuaded him to lead past the traps. We were expecting more resistance, but it seems that Cobra commander has fled rather than confront the freedom-loving...
Not true, my dear Colonel Breckhoff.
Eh?
Confrontation is my forte. I played the same trick I used back in the Hindu Kush Mountains, setting you against each other to my advantage. Distrust is a potent weapon, is it not? And speaking of weapons, you will drop yours immediately. I entrusted your elimination to subordinates before, but I, unlike you, have learned from my mistake. I shall oversee your execution personally. Suddenly, a Cobra officer assaults Cobra Commander from behind, hits him on the back with his gun, whips off his helmet at the same time. Not likely, chump. You, the one they call Clutch. That's my name, don't wear it out. Whew, Clutch. Buddy. That was your big zinger? Tell your bully boys to drop their hardware. I'm feeling right ornery and my fingers twitching. And tell them to bring out Steeler and Breaker. Do as he says. I've got these jokers covered. The rest of you keep an eye on the Reds. I know the way out of this maze. Get Steeler and Breaker on board the RTV and get ready to move out. Me and Stalker are riding out on the Vamp, and we're taking Mr. Head Cobra with us as insurance. That's tough, Brekov. What are you going to do about it?
Eliminate the hostage!
Brekov pulls out his sidearm, shoots directly at him, hits Cobra Commander right in the chest. Now you've done it. Now we're all... Wait a minute. This ain't Cobra Commander. This is a double wearing a loudspeaker. So I assume that's Operation Doppelganger. It is an obnoxiously sized speaker in Cobra Commander's chest. Cobra Commander's giant appearance on this gigantic TV in the headquarters suddenly pops up. Of course, you didn't think I would expose myself to your dangerous presence again, did you? Speak to you from the safety of my bunker where... Stop them. We don't want to hear it, buddy. Let's get this show on the road. Move over, Stalker. I'm driving. Dana runs towards the Vamp.
Wait! Take us with you!
Stalker face just gives her the hand directly to the face. Shove off, sister. This bus is full. Besides, you're our rear guard diversion. You certainly have a way with the ladies, Stalker. Dag, Clutch. We thought you had it. How'd you pull this off? When I was ribbing Scarlet about using my rear view to fix her makeup, I glanced at the mirror and caught an eyeball full of Cobra Trooper. So I beamed him with the microphone, put on his fun hat and mask, and walked right into the stronghold. Epilogue, the port of Karachi in Pakistan. Well, Hawk, it was rough going there for a while, but we made it. Terrific job, Stalker. I guess I can tell you the truth now. The truth? We airlifted the real plane out of Afghanistan yesterday. That box you've been hauling is just full of scrap metal and no deposit bottles. You were the red herring, the decoy. Excellent work, team. Excellent. The end. So they kind of compressed a lot of information very abruptly at the end of this book. Certainly the cliffhanger as to what was going on with Hawk is resolved kind of in an expedient way and is a pretty unexpected turn of events. When you really think about it, Hawk, like, I mean, I get that they're just doing their job and because they set them up as red herrings, but there were a lot of things that could have happened that would have basically got his team killed. And it's only through a series of luck and good fortune that they were able to fight their way, to victory.
Maybe a bit of plot armor as well.
Yeah, a little bit of that also. But it's a really interesting turn. Like, it's not the kind of... This is kind of where you really start to see that this G.I. Joe book is written with more than just a sprinkle of authentic military jargon. Like, there was some stuff that as a kid was like a really unexpected lesson to learn from a toy comic book.
Yeah, it's crazy. We spent all that time thinking, oh gosh, or at least I did, like, oh, is he a double agent? Is he doing this? Is he doing that? Nah, he was just being a military leader guy. just like, hey, my team's the Joe team's going to be there. You better make sure to get them. Ha 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 ha. But the stuff's already gone.
A pretty crazy story with a very unexpected resolution. So, what's your takeaway on this two-parter overall?
I really enjoyed it. I did. I mean, having the time between issues, I mean, I didn't have as long as, when it originally was released. I didn't have to wait that long, luckily. But it definitely led me to think about it, and it made me, like, I wanted to have this resolved. I liked the kind of the duality, you get to see the Oktober Guard from their point of view and, like, see where, they're like, a failure will not be tolerated and all that. Like, it's cool to see from their side, like, they are their Joe's team for their country, and they believe they're doing the right thing. So, it's a really cool story. It has some really fun moments, all the little cheeky Spielberg references, or was it Space Invaders or Asteroids? there's like all these little fun references, but also coming from not knowing really anything about G.I. Joe, but the only media I knew was some of the cartoons when I was younger. This is a lot different. I mean, they were straight up just murdering Cobra people. Like, there was no jumping out of the jets and parachuting. Like, they blew those two dudes up with the vamp.
Yeah, it's not hard to sympathize with the Oktober Guard because you do understand their perspective, and they are also just on a mission. Like, this is just their job. It's not a personal vendetta. They're not out to harm the world. They're just doing what the government told them to do, just like the Joes. And I think that makes them a very likable opposition to the Joes in that sense, that it's a interesting cog thrown into the dynamic. And it's kind of unfortunate, although the Oktober Guard has a smattering of show ups in the overall book, they still, I feel like, are underused as a whole when you look back on the kind of the history of G.I. Joe.
Yeah, it's also cool to think that this is during a time where the Red Scare was still a predominant feeling. Like, they didn't make them just cartoony evil villains.
Yeah, and I think
which was cool.
I think it would have been an easy out to vilify them even further, or make them more Cobra-esque in that sense. I know there's not a lot of stiff competition up to this point, but I can pretty much say hands down that this is my favorite story in the G.I. Joe mythology to date. Like, of where we've read up to this point, I think this tops it all. I mentioned it previously, but I really like how Cobra Commander is portrayed in this. The evolution of Cobra Commander as a character is got a lot of ups and downs. His personality really goes through a lot of changes, and I like this era Cobra Commander, kind of the ruthless, bloodthirsty, conniving. I've got a robot duplicate and line these guys up and gun them down. I think that's a cool image for Cobra Commander.
It also, like, at certain points there, it seems like he's almost got that, like, cult leader vibe.
Yeah.
He's got like his ceremonial hood. He's got his big, his congregation comes together and he talks and kind of gives speeches to them. Like, it would be cool to see them kind of do that kind of take on it. Cause he seems methodical, planning. Like, he might not be a get up in your face and fight the whole time, but he's smart enough to know, okay, probably not going to come out on top here. Let's do this instead.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So the last thing we have to talk about is the thing we always talk about at this time, and that is the comic book 3-pack that was released later on, but with a reprint of this issue in it. And just like other editions of these, obviously the characters that are released with them are related to the story within. So it makes sense that this one helps bring about the rest of the Oktober Guard. It comes packaged with Horror Show. It comes packaged with Stormovic, and it has a Sergeant Stalker. And it's another great addition. These two packs together, basically, you completed an original, quotes, vintage Oktober Guard, and was, again, other than the Toys R Us flops that came out prior to this, was easily the best version of a set of figures that we never got, that most people were adamantly after. I wanted an Oktober Guard set for the longest time, and I wanted a Quinn figure for the longest time, and those were figures that were not actualized until far, far, far later in the line. Post vintage era, despite still being vintage molds.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite stalkers as well. Aside from the original, this is probably my favorite. I like the way this looks. Plus, with the new head mold, like, it looks really good.
Yeah, and it would have been an easy out to go all Oktober Guards, like they did with the other set. But getting this set, you also got another piece of your original 13, where you have been building up to at this point, and are getting pretty close to having. But as we'll see with the next comic book pack, there'll be a big dumb wrench thrown in the equation, and I'll have plenty to say about that on the next episode. And speaking of the next episode, we hope you'll join us then. We'll be discussing all the news that's come out since the episode prior to this. We've got there was a new Fan First Friday. We've got new classified figures coming out. There's a lot of news overall. And we're also coming up on the 1 year anniversary of our show, which we are trying to plan some special events for. We've got a giveaway coming up. We've got some, I don't want to say behind the scenes, but we're going to look at some stuff in our collections that we haven't really talked about or shown before. If you guys have any questions for us or anything that you'd like to hear us talk about on that episode, we would love to hear from you. You can contact us on Twitter, Instagram, at anythingjoespod. You can email us directly at anythingjoespodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on YouTube at Anything Joes. Oh, and we have a Facebook group also at Anything Joe's Pod. And we would love for you to join us there and continue the conversation that we're having. And that's it. That's going to wrap it up for us. Thanks so much for listening. And we look forward to seeing you in 2 short weeks where anything's available for discussion here on Anything Joe's.